All right, welcome to the Ultra Clean Room, new recruits. I'm your lead aerospace engineer, and today we're walking through what is, frankly, the highest stakes manufacturing environment on or off the planet. You're here to learn exactly how we build these billion-dollar space machines where the margin for error is, well, literally zero.
To really understand the gravity of what we do here, think about this. Back in 2018, a Russian satellite was completely lost to the void. And why? Because of one single tiny programming error. It's crazy, right? But once these machines leave the launch pad, you can't exactly send a maintenance team up there to tighten a loose screw or reboot a frozen hard drive. Every single thing we design has to be flawless, durable, and totally self-reliant.
So, here's our flight plan for today's explainer. We're going to go step by step from the ground up, starting with the blueprint, mastering swap, assembly, the testing gauntlet, the launch itself, and finally, surviving the void. Okay, Phase 1, the blueprint. The golden rule you need to remember here is that the mission always dictates the design. Long before a single piece of metal gets cut, we have to know exactly what this machine is meant to do, and that fundamentally splits our design into two distinct halves.
Basically, every satellite is made up of a payload and a bus. Now the payload, that's the star of the show. We're talking high-gain antennas for comms, cameras for Earth observation, or maybe software to find radios for dedicated internet. But here's the catch. The payload is totally useless without the bus. The bus is the vehicle. It's the skeleton, the vital life support system that keeps those incredibly sensitive instruments alive in the most hostile environment imaginable. And that bus relies on 7 fundamental subsystems working in absolute perfect harmony. You've got your mechanical structure, the flight computer, electrical power, attitude control, propulsion, communications, and thermal control. If even one, just one, of these 7 systems fails, boom, our multi-million-dollar mission is dead in the water.
Moving on to Phase 2, mastering swap. This is where the physics of design comes in, and honestly, it's the most ruthless engineering puzzle you're going to face in your career here. SWAP stands for size, weight, and power. You see, a launch vehicle's nose cone only has so much room, and its rockets can only lift so much mass. You absolutely cannot have the propulsion system take up all the mass and leave zero room for the payload. And you can't have the payload draw so much power that the thermal controls end up failing. It's a massive balancing act. Every single gram and every single milliwatt is fiercely negotiated, budgeted, and optimized. So how do we cheat those weight limits? Advanced material science. We use these honeycomb composite panels, which is basically a lightweight core sandwiched between carbon fiber or aluminum. It creates a structure so impossibly light yet stiff that you could literally lift a 6-meter satellite antenna pole with just one finger on your left hand. It's wild. Plus, every single material has to be carefully chosen and baked out in a vacuum to prevent what we call outgassing. That's when trapped gases escape and condense on sensitive optics, which could completely blind our payload. All right, Phase 3, assembly in the clean room. Forget literally everything you know about mass production assembly lines, because that just does not exist here.
Every single satellite is meticulously hand-assembled right here in an ultra-clean lab. Why? Because even a single microscopic speck of dust can completely destroy our delicate sensors. And since the satellite is going to be constantly bombarded by deadly solar radiation and cosmic rays out there, our sensitive flight computers have to be built with radiation-hardened components. We shield them heavily, wrapping them inside thick enclosures of aluminum. Space is incredibly merciless, guys, so we have to build accordingly.
Which brings us to Phase 4, the testing gauntlet. Our machine has to survive a brutal simulation of space before we ever even think about giving the green light for launch.
You're going to subject your hardware to 3 seriously punishing steps. First up, the vibration table. This mimics the violent, bone-rattling shake of a rocket launch, just to ensure absolutely nothing falls off. Next, the acoustic chamber, where we blast it with deafening sound waves. And finally, the thermal vacuum chamber, where we suck out all the air to prove our systems work flawlessly in a total vacuum.
Now, why is that structural thermal vacuum testing so absolutely critical? Well, it comes down to this staggering number, 500 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the wild temperature swing a satellite actually experiences up there. Our radiators, heat pipes, and multi-layer insulation blankets have to perfectly balance that massive thermal load. They're dealing with boiling, unfiltered sunlight 1 minute and the freezing absolute shadows of an eclipse the next.
Okay, Phase 5, rocket mating and launch.
If our hardware actually passes the gauntlet, it's finally time to transport the satellite to the spaceport.
Once at the facility, our satellite is carefully encapsulated inside the payload fairing. That's the nose cone. And just to give you a real sense of scale here, a heavy-lift rocket like the Proton M takes 16 entire cargo train cars just to transport to the site. So, the mobile service tower embraces the rocket, we load up the highly volatile fuel and oxidizer, and then we place our fragile, meticulously hand-built machine right on top of what is, essentially, a controlled chemical explosion.
When that countdown hits 0, the engines ignite and generate enough raw, violent thrust to push the rocket to 25,000 kilometers per hour. That is the blistering, sheer speed required to actually tear away from Earth's gravity.
And finally, Phase 6, surviving the void. The final rocket stage falls away, leaving our satellite completely alone in orbit.
At this point, the mechanical locks release, the solar arrays unfold, and our machine wakes up in the dark. But just waking up isn't enough, right? It has to orient itself. To survive and communicate, the attitude control system takes over. We use an inertial measurement unit with gyroscopes to sense the spin. Then, star trackers, these are special cameras that map the constellations, they pinpoint our exact orientation. Finally, to turn the spacecraft without eating up our precious thruster fuel, we use reaction wheels. These are basically spinning flywheels powered by electric motors that precisely adjust our attitude, keeping our antennas locked dead center, right back onto Earth.
For heavy communication satellites, the target altitude is exactly 35,786 kilometers above sea level. This is geostationary orbit. At this precise altitude, the satellite moves perfectly in sync with the Earth's rotation. So to us on the ground, it appears to just hover over one specific spot on the globe, providing constant, uninterrupted signal reception for data, TV, and internet.
But, space is definitely not empty. As engineers, we have to account for a pretty terrifying and visible threat. Right now, there are over 3,000 dead satellites and just countless pieces of space junk orbiting our planet. And they're moving at 28,000 kilometers per hour. At those speeds, a collision with a piece of debris the size of a marble can instantly vaporize years of our hard work.
So to adapt, our industry is evolving incredibly fast. We're actually shifting away from building those massive, bus-sized, bespoke giants that take years to construct and moving toward highly adaptable, modular units. Today, we're seeing huge constellations of shoebox-sized CubeSats and highly efficient micro-geosatellites. The whole future of this field lies in AI-powered smart constellations that don't just relay data, but actively analyze weather and track disasters in real time, built way faster and more affordably than ever before.
So recruits, that is the reality of aerospace engineering. It takes years of planning, absolutely merciless testing, and a relentless pursuit of perfection to conquer the void. The challenges are monumental, but the reward is literally powering the modern world from the stars. The blueprint is set, the void is waiting. So the only question left is, are you ready to build?